When your algorithm matches you with the one woman who could destroy your enemy, do you tell her she's bait, or do you let her think it's love? Ethan Cross had exactly 48 hours to decide. In 2 days, Lily Monroe would walk into his offices to cater his product launch, unaware that his AI had selected her from 47 million profiles. Unaware that her ex-husband had stolen Ethan's life's work. Unaware that Ethan had spent 6 months studying her from a distance, looking for proof that his perfect algorithm had made its first catastrophic error. He'd found no errors, only the uncomfortable truth that she was exactly what he needed, in more ways than one. The moral cost of using her was enormous. The cost of letting his former partner win was worse. If you're loving this story so far, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale of love, betrayal, and second chances. Trust me, you'll want to see how this ends. 6 months earlier, Ethan Cross stood in his penthouse office overlooking the San Francisco skyline, staring at a number that should have made him euphoric: 47 million users. His creation MatchMind had become the world's most sophisticated AI matchmaking platform. Celebrities, CEOs, and everyday romantics trusted his algorithm to find their perfect match. Everyone except Ethan himself. You need to test it personally, his chief technology officer Priya Sharma had insisted during their morning briefing. The press is asking why the creator of the world's best matchmaking app is still single. It's becoming a credibility issue. Ethan had laughed it off then. But later that night, alone with a glass of scotch and too many thoughts about the empire built on code he'd originally written with someone else, he'd done it. He'd created a profile under a pseudonym, filled out the exhaustive questionnaire with brutal honesty, and let his own algorithm loose on his life. The result came back in 3.7 seconds. Lily Monroe. Compatibility score: 98.7%. Ethan had stared at her profile photo for a full minute. She was beautiful, yes, but not in the polished way of the women who typically orbited his world. Her smile was genuine but tired. Laugh lines, crinkling eyes that held both warmth and wariness. Her profile was refreshingly honest. Single mother, freelance caterer, passionate about giving her daughter a better life, looking for someone real in a city full of pretenders. She was everything he didn't usually go for. He preferred sophistication, women who understood the tech world, partners who could discuss venture capital over wine at exclusive restaurants. Lily Monroe worked 3 jobs. She listed her favorite restaurant as anywhere my daughter picks. It's a glitch, Ethan had muttered, running the algorithm again. Same result. He ran it 17 more times over the next week, tweaking parameters, questioning his own code. 98.7% every single time. Impossible, he'd said to his empty office. The algorithm was built on 10,000 data points, machine learning from millions of successful relationships, psychological compatibility metrics that had taken 4 years to perfect. Didn't make mistakes. But this had to be a mistake. So Ethan did what any rational billionaire would do when faced with a problem. He investigated. He told himself it was about protecting his company's reputation, about ensuring the algorithm's integrity. He definitely wasn't obsessing over a woman who represented everything his carefully constructed life had no room for. He started with her public information. Lily Monroe, 32, divorced 3 years ago. Owner of Lily's Kitchen, a small catering company that operated out of her modest apartment in the Sunset District. Mother to 7-year-old Harper. Active in her daughter's school, volunteered at a community center, somehow held down 2 additional part-time jobs, one at a bakery, another doing bookkeeping for local businesses. The more Ethan learned, the more his skepticism warred with something uncomfortably close to admiration. This woman was running on fumes and sheer determination, building a life from scratch with no safety net. Then he'd found the connection that changed everything. Lily's ex-husband, Daniel Rivers. Ethan's hands had trembled when that name appeared on his screen. Daniel Rivers, his former best friend. His original business partner. The man who'd stolen their prototype, $3.2 million in seed funding, and disappeared into the night 5 years ago, resurfacing 2 years later as the CEO of a competing tech firm built on Ethan's stolen code. Daniel Rivers had been married to Lily Monroe. The algorithm hadn't made a mistake. It had made a chess move. Ethan told himself observation was necessary. Due diligence. He needed to understand what the algorithm had seen in this woman before he dismissed the match entirely. He definitely wasn't stalking her. He was conducting research. He started by hiring Lily's catering company for a small executive dinner. Nothing major, just 20 people, but enough to see her in action. She'd arrived at his building 2 hours early, her beat-up Honda Civic packed with supplies, her daughter Harper trailing behind with a backpack full of homework. "I'm sorry," Lily had said immediately when security called up. "My sitter canceled last minute. Harper will stay completely out of the way, I promise. She'll do her homework in the corner." Ethan had watched from his office via security feed as Lily transformed his conference room into something elegant, working with efficient grace while simultaneously helping Harper with math problems. The contrast struck him. Her life was chaos, yet she created beauty and order wherever she went. The dinner had been perfect. More than perfect. Lily had an instinct for not just food but for reading people. She'd noticed when one executive hadn't touched the halibut and quietly offered an alternative. She'd caught a glass before it spilled, diffused an awkward silence with a perfectly timed question about the dessert wine pairing. After the guests left, Ethan had found Harper asleep in the corner, her head on her backpack, while Lily cleaned up alone. "You don't have to do that," Ethan had said, revealing himself. "We have a cleaning crew." Lily had looked up, surprised. She'd seen him earlier, of course, but this was their first direct interaction. Up close, she was even more striking, exhausted, her chef's coat stained, but carrying herself with a dignity that wealth couldn't buy. "I always clean my own messes," she'd said simply. "Besides, your crew doesn't start until midnight. I'll be done in 20 minutes. Let me help." "You're Ethan Cross. You don't clean up after caterers." "Tonight I do." They'd worked in comfortable silence, and Ethan found himself stealing glances at this woman who'd somehow raised a well-behaved child, built a business, and maintained her grace under pressure that would have crushed most people. When Harper stirred awake, Lily's entire demeanor shifted, the exhaustion falling away, replaced by pure love. "Come on, baby. Time to go home." "Is that your boss?" Harper had asked, rubbing her eyes. "A client," Lily had corrected gently. "He seems nice. Not like Daddy." The words had hung in the air, and Lily's expression had shuttered closed. "Car. Now." Ethan hired her again the next week, and the week after. Each time he learned something new. Lily never complained, never made excuses. When her car broke down, she took 3 buses to get to his building on time. When Harper got sick, Lily brought her along rather than cancel, setting up a quiet corner with blankets and cartoons on a tablet while she worked. "You could reschedule," Ethan had suggested during that event. "Family comes first." "Family is exactly why I can't reschedule," Lily had replied, checking Harper's temperature. "This job pays for her medicine." It was during their 4th event, a major product launch after party, that Ethan realized the algorithm hadn't just been right. It had been prophetic. He'd been cornered by investors all night, playing the role of visionary CEO, when he glanced across the room and caught Lily watching him, not with the starstruck awe he usually received, but with something like understanding. Later, when he'd escaped to the balcony for air, she'd appeared with a plate of food. "You haven't eaten all night," she'd said. "And before you say you're not hungry, I watched you down 4 espressos. You need actual food. How did you know you were about to bolt? You get this look, like you're drowning in a room full of people who think you're walking on water." She'd set the plate down. "I know that look because I invented it." For the first time in months, Ethan had let his guard down. It's exhausting, being what everyone expects. Then maybe stop trying. Lily had smiled softly. "The algorithm that everyone's talking about tonight? I bet you built it because you were trying to solve something real, something human. But somewhere along the way, it became about the money and the metrics and the million users." 47 million, Ethan had corrected automatically, then winced. "See? That's the problem right there." She'd turned to leave, then paused. "For what it's worth, the best things I've ever made were in my tiny apartment kitchen with Harper singing off-key next to me. Not a single person saw them but us. But they mattered more than anything. I've catered for people with 8-figure bank accounts." She'd left him standing there, holding a plate of food he suddenly tasted for the first time in years, wondering when he'd lost sight of why he'd built Matchmind in the first place. That night, Ethan had done something reckless. He'd pulled up the algorithm's detailed analysis of why it had matched them. The answer was devastating in its simplicity. Lily Monroe understood sacrifice. She understood building something from nothing. She understood that true success wasn't measured in valuations, but in the small moments that nobody else witnessed. She'd been married to ambition before, survived its destruction, and come out stronger. And according to the algorithm's psychological profiling, she was the only person in the entire database who could make Ethan remember why he'd wanted to help people find love in the first place, because he'd forgotten how to find his own. The algorithm had matched them because she was his mirror and his opposite, his reminder and his redemption. But there was one detail in the compatibility report that Ethan had been trying to ignore. Lily Monroe's response to a question about what type of partner she was looking for. Her answer: someone real. Someone who doesn't measure worth in zeros on a bank statement. Someone who won't leave when things get hard. Someone who's nothing like my ex-husband. Ethan's path to Lily ran directly through the ruins of her last marriage, to the man who destroyed Ethan's life too. 3 weeks before the product launch that would bring Lily back into his orbit, Ethan made a decision. He created a new profile on Matchmind, this time with his real identity. He answered every question with the truth he'd been hiding from the world. His loneliness, his regrets, his fear that success had cost him the ability to connect with anything real. Then he matched himself with Lily's profile again. 98.7%. The algorithm hadn't changed its mind. So Ethan did something he hadn't done in 5 years. He took a chance on something other than code and capital. After a small dinner event at his home, an intimate gathering where Lily had prepared a menu that had left venture capitalists literally licking their plates, he'd asked her to stay after. "I need to talk to you about something," he'd said, his heart pounding in a way that board meetings and billion-dollar deals never triggered. Lily had hesitated, glancing at Harper asleep on his guest room bed. "I really should get her home. It'll just take 5 minutes. Please." She'd followed him to his office, arms crossed, guard up. "Smart woman. I'm on Matchmind," Ethan had started, the words tumbling out inelegantly. "I created a profile because people kept asking why I wasn't using my own app, and the algorithm. It matched me with you." Lily had gone very still. "Excuse me. 98.7% compatibility. Highest match in the entire database. I thought it was a mistake, so I investigated." "You investigated me?" Her voice had gone cold. "I needed to understand why the algorithm chose you. We're complete opposites. You represent everything I'm not. Everything I thought I didn't want." "Get to the point, Mr. Cross." Ethan had taken a breath. "I'd like to take you to dinner. A real date. Not as a client, as someone who wants to know you better." The silence that followed was crushing. Then Lily had laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You're serious?" "Completely. Let me make something very clear." Lily's voice had turned to ice. "I don't date billionaires. I don't date tech CEOs. I don't date men who live in penthouses and think they can investigate people like research projects. Lily, my ex-husband was just like you. Ambitious, brilliant, so focused on building an empire that he forgot he had a family. When his company took off, he traded us in for a younger model and a house in Palo Alto. He sees Harper twice a year if we're lucky, sends child support checks 3 months late, and acts like his money absolves him of actually being a father." The words had hit Ethan like physical blows. "I rebuilt my entire life from the ashes of that marriage," Lily had continued. "I worked myself to exhaustion so Harper never doubts that she's loved, that she's worth showing up for. And you think an algorithm can match me with another billionaire? With another man who probably sees relationships as transactions? I'm not like. You literally investigated me instead of just asking me out like a normal person." Lily had grabbed her coat. "Your algorithm is broken, Mr. Cross. Stay away from me." She'd collected Harper and left, and Ethan had stood in his empty penthouse wondering how he'd managed to destroy something before it even began. But here was the truth he hadn't been able to tell her. He wasn't like Daniel Rivers. He knew this because Daniel Rivers had stolen everything from him too. Ethan spent the next 48 hours making a decision that would change everything. He could let Lily go, respect her boundaries, pretend the algorithm had been wrong. Or he could tell her the truth, all of it. When she arrived for the product launch catering, he was waiting. "We need to talk," Ethan said before she could set up. "I'm here to work. I know who your ex-husband is." Lily froze. "What?" "Daniel Rivers. He was my business partner. My best friend." Ethan's voice was steady despite the earthquake happening in his chest. "5 years ago, we built the prototype for MatchMind together. We secured $3.2 million in seed funding. Then one night, Daniel took everything, the code, the money, the patents I'd stupidly put in both our names, and disappeared." Lily's face had gone pale. "No. He resurfaced 2 years later with a competing app built on my stolen code. My lawyers are still fighting him in court. But he's hidden behind shell corporations and offshore accounts. I've spent 5 years rebuilding what he destroyed, proving that my version of the algorithm was better, that I could succeed despite his betrayal. Why are you telling me this?" "Because I need you to understand something." Ethan stepped closer. "When the algorithm matched us, I thought it was impossible. Then I discovered the connection to Daniel, and I wondered if I was supposed to use you somehow. Get close to you, learn his weaknesses, use you as a weapon." Lily's eyes flashed with anger. And then I spent 6 months watching you build a life with nothing but determination and love. I watched you show up for your daughter every single day, even when you were running on empty. I watched you create beauty in my sterile corporate world. I watched you see through my carefully constructed facade to the person I'd forgotten how to be." Ethan's voice cracked. "The algorithm didn't match us so I could use you against Daniel. It matched us because you're the only person who understands what it costs me to lose him. You're the only person who knows that betrayal isn't just about money or stolen code. It's about trust destroyed, futures stolen. The version of yourself you were before the person you loved most chose ambition over you." Tears were streaming down Lily's face now. "I'm not asking you to help me take down Daniel," Ethan said softly. "I'm asking you to give me a chance to prove that not every billionaire is him. That I would choose you and Harper over every dollar in my account. That I remember what matters because you reminded me." "How can I trust that?" Lily whispered. "How can I trust you won't become him? Because I already lost everything once, and it taught me what really matters." Ethan pulled out his phone, opening MatchMind. "The algorithm matched us because it saw something I couldn't. It saw that you're not just compatible with who I am, you're compatible with who I'm trying to become. Someone who values people over profits. Someone who shows up. Someone who's worthy of you." Lily stared at him for a long moment. "Your algorithm really said all that? It said we could save each other." Ethan smiled sadly. "I just didn't realize how much I needed saving until I met you. This is insane. Completely. I have a daughter. My life is chaos. I work 3 jobs and drive a car that breaks down every other week. I can't be your project or your redemption arc." "I don't want you to be," Ethan said. "I want you to be exactly who you are. Someone real in a world of pretenders. Someone who makes me remember why I built MatchMind. Because I believed everyone deserves to find the person who makes them whole." Lily wiped her eyes, and Ethan saw the moment she made her decision. "1 coffee. That's it. And Harper comes with us because I don't have a sitter and I won't hide who I am, or what my life looks like. I wouldn't want you to. And if at any point you start acting like Daniel, if you prioritize work over people, if you make promises you don't keep, if you make my daughter feel like she's not enough, I walk." "Understood. And you have to tell me everything about Daniel. About the stolen code, the lawsuits, all of it. No more investigations or secrets. Deal." Lily took a shaky breath. "Your algorithm better be right about this. It has a 98.7% success rate," Ethan said, allowing himself a small smile. "But for what it's worth, I stopped trusting the algorithm about 3 months ago. I'm trusting this." He placed his hand over his heart. "And it's terrified and hopeful and completely sure about you." 6 months later, Lily's catering company had expanded into a full restaurant, funded not by Ethan's money, she'd refused his investment, but by a small business loan and sheer determination. Harper had a college fund that Ethan contributed to monthly, not as payment but as a promise. And Ethan had won his lawsuit against Daniel Rivers. Not through aggression but through patience and the evidence that his version of MatchMind's algorithm was genuinely superior. Daniel had tried to contact Lily during the trial. She'd blocked his number and moved on with her life. On the night of the restaurant's opening, Ethan stood in the kitchen watching Lily command her team with the same grace she'd shown in his conference room a lifetime ago. Harper sat at the counter doing homework and sneaking bites of dessert samples. "Your algorithm was right," Lily said, catching him watching. "But you know what it couldn't predict?" "What's that?" "That I'd fall in love with you not because you're a billionaire, or because you could help me get revenge, or because some AI said we were compatible." She crossed to him, flour dusting her chef's coat. "I fell in love with you because you chose to be different than Daniel. You chose to show up, to be present, to value what matters. The algorithm knew I needed you," Ethan admitted. "It just couldn't tell me that love isn't about perfect compatibility scores. It's about choosing each other every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." Harper looked up from her homework. "Are you two going to kiss? Because if you are, warning would be nice." They laughed and Ethan pulled Lily close. "For the record," he whispered, 98.7% doesn't do you justice. You're 100% perfect for me. The algorithm would flag that as statistically improbable. Good thing I'm not trusting the algorithm anymore." Later that night, after the restaurant closed and Harper fell asleep in the car, Ethan updated his MatchMind profile one final time. Relationship status found. The algorithm had done its job. It had matched him with the one person who could heal the wounds Daniel had left, who could remind him what mattered, who could show him that sometimes the perfect match isn't the one you're looking for. It's the one you need. But the real work, the actual love, the daily choice to be worthy of Lily and Harper, that wasn't code. That was just him showing up, trying to be different, trying to be enough. And according to Lily's smile when she caught him watching her sleep that night, hand in his, he was exactly enough. Did this story make you believe in second chances? Drop a comment below telling us what you loved most about Ethan and Lily's journey. And if you're craving more stories of love that conquers all, even betrayal and billion-dollar algorithms, smash that subscribe button. Our next story drops soon and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Until then, remember, sometimes the algorithm knows your heart better than you do. Thanks for watching.